Hi, welcome to the Zippy Wings channel. So my name is Jeremy Bursey, and I am the author of a domestic thriller called The Computer Nerd, as well as 4 short stories available on ebook that you may or may not have read, and a novella that you might have read, but only if you're a Canadian and looking for this book. So in case you're new here, just a quick background. I've always been an author for as long as I've been doing this channel, and then years prior to that. But I've been using this channel primarily as a place to showcase independent computer games that people I know have made, and just basically wanted to give them feedback. And then of course I eventually segued out of that and started using this channel to showcase different writing tools and different tips that would help writers or wannabe writers get better at the craft. And then of course every once in a while I would also showcase a book on writing called in a series I did called the Writer's Bookshelf, which is technically still going on. I just haven't done it in a little while because I frankly got a lot of a backlog happening. But I've been basically trying to experiment with what this channel is about and ultimately what I want to do with it. And while I still like the idea of being primarily writing focused, one of the things I've been thinking a lot about is just the idea that I'm still a writer, and I still would like people to know about what I'm writing. And that's part of one of the needs of an author, is for people to know that he's out there writing. And because otherwise, if you're writing to crickets, then the crickets are the only ones going to be left to read. And I don't know if you realize this, but and science may prove me wrong someday, but crickets really don't know how to read. So it'd be nice to get human readers out there to know what's going on. And so I thought, well, I kind of like what the game developers do out there, doing what they call devlogs, where they'll go and they'll introduce an audience to their projects, and not only in the effort to get them interested in the project itself, but also to kind of give them feedback and guidance along the way. And while that really works well for games because it's a visual medium with sound, and the ideas you can see clearly on the screen, it's a little harder to do with novels. In fact, it's not something that I see done very often, probably for good reason. However, I do like the idea of sharing with people who are interested, what I'm doing, how far I'm coming along. So I thought I would go ahead and take a novel that I've been working on since I don't know actually. It's probably been at least 3 or 4 years by now. It's called Paperweight, and essentially what the story is it's Indiana Jones meets The Office. That's the basic premise behind it. There's more to it than that. That's just the kind of the log line there. But it's a story of a treasure hunter who's given the job to steal like the last great treasure of a nation in order to be a treasure hunter. Essentially, his job is to find relics for other buyers. And he's kind of in a crisis point where he wants to retire. So he does his one last job, and then he decides, well, I got to get rid of this thing because, well, I don't want to spoil the whole story. There's a reason why he has to get rid of it. But anyway, he decides to sell it to this CEO of an investment company who's failing miserably. And he thinks that this treasure is going to be the thing to fix his the dying empire, so to speak, because everything in an archaeology quest is going to have a cursed item. The cursed item is going to bring good luck or bad. Which one will it be? So anyway, while he's selling off this treasure, again, I don't want to spoil all of it. He decides, well, he's ready to start his new life, and in a more kind of a tame environment. So he gets a job at the office where the CEO is head of this company. Unfortunately, the past doesn't always stay in the past, and some elements of his history might still find him even when he's working in an office job. So anyway, that's the premise so far. And of course, there's there may or may not be a chase involving this treasure, both once it's recovered and all that. So anyway, the point is I wanted to finish this book, but the problem is I got stuck about halfway through. And one of the things about writing is it is easy to get stuck. Like, even if you have a good plan in mind, that plan can potentially blow up as you get through parts of it. And so what I did here is I had some good ideas for scenes that I needed to flesh out, but I wasn't sure where the story they went, or necessarily what relationships were attached in, within the context of that scene. So much of this story has been me trying to figure out where it wants to go. And the problem is originally had a plan because this story called Paperweight was originally based on a short story. And the short story, which by the way is available in my collection called Read My Shorts, which I'll talk about at the end of the video if you're still with me. The original premise was about this treasure had already been found, and it's kind of messing with the rhythms of this office, and this office worker who knows about the history of this treasure, he warns the CEO, not to let anything happen to it, or CEO lets something happen to it, and that's that. And when I was doing when I was going through my archives of stories that I wanted to try to bring to ebook, I had done my 2015 massive push of short stories, including 4 that I showed you at the beginning of this video, and a few others that I've since pulled from Amazon, but they're still lingering in the background. If you're interested in checking them out, just send me a comment and I'll point you in the right direction. But I wanted to go ahead and continue on to my other old projects to kind of resurface them. These would have been the ones that I never really published before, no one's really read, and I just wanted to get an audience for them. And so Paperweight was one of the early contenders for that. And the problem, of course, is as a 5-page short story, there's no one's going to care. It's it's a good idea, but it's just over quickly, and there's not really a lot of story surrounding that. And I thought, well, this is one of the great candidates for a longer piece. Kind of like the Computer Nerd was. Computer Nerd was originally just a 6,000 word short story, and I just needed to find out what happens next. And so that was my journey, is to go figure out what happened next. And I ended up with this big 330 page domestic thriller about, well, again, I'm not going to derail, but going through and deciding that, well, I want to tell this longer story about Paperweight. I wasn't sure if it was going to be a novella or a novel. I had drafted it to be a novella, but the more I think about it, the more I think it deserves to be at least 300 pages. And my plan was to make it an exclusive for my newsletter, because I would need people to sign up so I can keep people informed and all that. That's kind of what writers have to do. And the more I thought about it, the more I thought, well, there really needs to be an exclusive novella for the newsletter, but this particular story really should go on Amazon because it's going to be really interesting when it's done. Although the caveat would be anybody on my newsletter at the time of release would still get it free. So I kind of balanced that in my head. But that's only good if I can get the thing finished. And so I had a few stalls here and there. And then I had, and if those of you who may have been following my channel for at least a couple years, Amazon had produced this platform called Kindlevella that I decided, well, let me take advantage of that because maybe there's an audience there. Again, with writers, those of us who want to be read, we got to find an audience. It's sort of like they're required. Like, I can write a book to myself and be the only person who reads it, and that's fine for me, but not fine for those who might want to read it and don't know it's out there. So it's like building the audience helps get the news out. And I thought, well, Kindlevella might be that story or be that help. And the short story of that is, no, it didn't. Kindlevella had a very bad system for helping out unknown authors. Basically, those who succeeded were the ones who already had an audience and brought them with the platform. It was sort of like we're not going to spend the money in advertising. We're going to have you guys bring in the audience. And it was just, that wasn't very helpful for those of us who didn't know but still devoted, the months prepping for it. I think I did. So anyway, I have to see the end of a story, and so I saw the end of my Kindlevella story last month, and so now I'm like, well, now I got to get Paperweight done. It's like there's no more distractions. Like, it's time to sit down and work this thing out. So that brings us to the present. I would like to share my progress with you if you're interested, and I hope you are. So if this sounds like a story you might be interested in reading or finding out more about. Again, it's Indiana Jones meets The Office is the really basic premise, but the deeper story is treasure hunter, gets a job after doing his big quest in an office, and his past catches up to him, and of course he's got to protect the people that he's calling friends now, and I think it'll be a fun book. It's a bit of a comedy, as I hope the blog line implies. And what I'll probably do at some point soon, those interested, is I'll probably share the first couple of chapters just so you all know what it's about, what's the style, the tone, and all of that. But I want to use this. We're calling it a writer's vlog, which I think is the official term that YouTubers use. So I guess I'll use it too. I want to use this vlog as an opportunity to document progress. Maybe not all the time, like my goal will be once a week, but I know my patterns is going to be to bomb that pretty quickly. So it'll eventually be, when I have something new to show you that's interesting. But I do hope that you subscribe to the channel so that you can find out more about what's going on. So with that said, I want to go quickly behind, I'm behind the camera now. I want to go into the screen just to show you the project. I've already pre-recorded this section, so it's just a couple minutes long. Won't take much of your time, and then I'll come back at the end and I'll just share my final thoughts. And then if you guys want to stick around, I put a bit of a pre-recorded a few scenes for future devlogs to get you oriented with the project itself. And then I think by the 4th or 5th devlog I'll actually be getting to work. I know that sounds kind of counterproductive. I know you want to see the work each week, and I am working behind the scenes and I'm documenting each process, but I do want to set up a bit of a chapter system here so you guys are fully aware of what's going on. So hope you'll stick around, and let's go take a look at the book. So right now we're in the Scrivener file, and I honestly haven't looked at this in months. I'm not sure months, if that's 3 months, 4 months, 5 months. Kind of lost track of time, but this is the file as I last looked at it. And one of the big issues I'm dealing with right now is just the order of scenes. I got to go in and look at what all my scenes actually are about, and then I have to go back and reconstruct the idea in my head that I think will do a better job in actually constructing this story. But this is an old outline that I developed with a different idea in mind. As I've written parts of the first draft, I definitely had some ideas that came to mind that I feel like this outline over here won't really work as well as it used to. So while I'm happy with a lot of the scenes I've got, I'm just not sure how well they're going to all fit together in the order that I've got it. So my first big challenge getting back into this story is to go back and figure out which scenes are in the right place, which ones need to be moved, which ones I probably won't be able to use, because sometimes that happens whenever we write. And then I got to figure out what my new ending is, because one of the things that happens when you develop a story is sometimes you realize you've created a new antagonist just by nature of developing a scene that requires an antagonist to show. And that antagonist seems to be a little more interesting than the one you had in your head. So I got some work ahead of me. This won't be an easy job. This is one reason why I've been putting it off as long as I have. The other reason, of course, just being that I wanted to get the Hybrid City Entrepreneur finished and released fully on Velo. So anyway, that's kind of where I am at the moment. I don't know how long this is going to take to finally sort through it all. Could be a while. It could be quick. I don't know. Once I get into a rhythm, then it should all work. But yeah, this is my file that I'm using in Scrivener. My plan is to probably do some rewriting and rearranging in Word first, because sometimes I like to do all my major edits in Word, since I can do version control a lot easier. I'm sure there's a way to do it in Scrivener. Scrivener is complicated. Right now, I like to use it mainly for the organization. But as far as revision goes, I like to do that in Word, so we'll see how that goes. Anyway, hope you all will stay with me on this journey. I know this is kind of a short video, ultimately, when it comes to what I'm looking at, because I need to sort it out first, and I can do more to talk about it. So I will keep you all posted. So there's a basic overview of what the book looks like. Again, I'm not going to always work on it in Scrivener, and I got future videos coming that will show you more of what's coming, of what I'm doing on the inside of the book. But I wanted to invite you guys to join my journey in trying to get this thing back on track and eventually get it released. If you're interested, and obviously if you're not interested, there's other shiny things out there on YouTube. But if you are interested in the story, and again, in case you forgot, it's Indiana Jones meets The Office. It's a comedy, adventure, thriller, all the things that kind of roll into one. But I am doing my best to make it work. It's not a mishmash of crazy stuff. It's it's in its own context. It will come together. But I want to invite you guys to keep along with the journey. I do plan to release a video at minimum once a week on this particular topic. Eventually, it may get a little longer in between as I get into the nitty-gritty of just trying to play catch-up on the writing. Because one thing, again, devlogs about video games, they're much more interesting to watch. Devlogs on books, I have to make it interesting for you guys, and so part of it is going to be figuring out how to make that interesting while still showing you what I'm doing and being truthful and all that. So it may not be as frequently as once a week as after I get past the initial first 3 or 4 videos, which I've already sort of started recording in stages to give you guys sort of a chapter effect of how I'm getting back into this program. But I just want to emphasize that if you are interested and you want to see the original short story that this is based on, there's a way you can do that. You can subscribe to my email list, and it's my newsletter through my email, and I will give you instant access to an ebook called Read My Shorts, which includes Paperweight as well as 2 other short stories, all sort of in the same kind of corporate satire genre. And the other thing is my plan. Again, this is an asterisk because plans do change sometimes. But my original plan was, again, to make Paperweight like free for every subscriber forever, make it an exclusive. But the more I thought about it, the more I probably shouldn't be giving away a full novel that has no additional context to the rest of my work, especially if I want to put it on Amazon and get readers that way. So what I've compromised is that I'm going to be writing a new novella for my my email audience. I'll talk more about that in a future devlog. I don't want to spoil it at this point because I'm still writing it. But what I want to do is, at the time of release, which again I don't know when that'll be. It could be this year, it could be 2024, it might be 2025. I don't know when I'll finish this because again, it's been a mess so far, and part of the issue is just figuring out how to sort it all out. That said, when I'm finished, my plan is that anyone currently on my newsletter subscriber list will get a free copy, or at least access to a free copy. They don't have to take it. It won't be shoved down your throats or anything, but if you're on my mailing list at the time of release, my plan is to give you access to a free digital copy. Now, you can still buy it on Amazon if you want to support me, and that's fine. But I want to give you all the option to just, as a thank you for being part of my newsletter, to be able to read it for free. The other thing I want to let you all know is that I will be taking beta readers for this story as I get near the end. Well, it'll be after the first draft's finished, but somewhere between that and the revision. And if you're in my email ecosystem, you'll have more information on how to become a beta reader. So again, if you're interested in reading this story early, sign up and you'll have opportunities to join that list. And that's also the way you can help me. If you want this project to succeed, if you want me to succeed as an author, or even if you're not sure if you want me to succeed, but you feel like, I should probably be nice to this person, whatever your reasons, that's another way you can help is, again, sign up so you're in the loop of what's going on. It's not about just getting a free ebook. I just need to make that clear. The newsletter is a newsletter. You get generally 1 email from me a month, and it will be a series of 2 or 3 articles inside, sometimes 4 depending on the month. The other way you can help me, again, is to subscribe to the channel, do all the things YouTubers tell you to do. And the last thing I'm going to give you guys some information that will be helpful to me is I do have a roadmap for this story. It's on an app called LinkedIn. Basically, it's like a Kanban board. If you're familiar with those, it's where you put announcements on a board and you can vote on them and all that. Anyway, I have one for all my books. There's one for Paperweight that you can go to right now, and there's a little card that says, I want to read this book. If you give me a thumb up on that, that shows me that you're interested in the book. And it's not going to change the fact that I'm going to write the book. You don't have to vote on it. I'm still going to finish it. It lets me know how much in demand it is, or how much people are looking forward to it. So it just takes a second to go over there and click, thumb up. You can also like other cards on there if you want to. You can give me ideas, suggestions if you have something that's interesting. You may see something in a video in the future that really inspires you to give me an idea. You can go over to that board and post the idea, and I'll eventually see it. So if it's one I like, I may consider it. Anyway, but that's Paperweight, and that's the devlog, the writer's vlog, whatever you want to call it. So let me know if you like this and if you want to see more, and I'll do what I can to put more together. So thanks for watching, and hope you have a nice 4th of July. Thanks. Bye.